implies it's becoming less steep.
And briefly, the pressure building on the Olympics now.
Yes, well, the football Euros have been postponed a year, the domestic season's obviously been put on hold. F1 races are off, even Eurovision's been cancelled, so perhaps not a surprise as spotlight's now on the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics. Granted, they're due to take place a little bit in the year, July and August, but yes, the pressure really building now on the IOC to make a call on this. They said over the weekend they'd given themselves a 4-week deadline to decide, but since then, Canada's become the first major country to withdraw. Australia is telling its athletes to prepare for the 2021 Games, and even in host country Japan itself, the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe admitting the Games could be postponed, and a poll of people in Japan suggesting 69% of people think the Games should be postponed by a year.
Finlay, thank you. More from Finlay later on. Coming up, we'll also hear from a top lawyer to get his reaction to the Alex Salmond verdict. Boris Johnson will be making his speech tonight at some stage, and the First Minister Nicola Sturgeon, we understand, will be making her statement on the Alex Salmond trial sometime between now and 5 o'clock. And we will bring that to you live. Let's get the travel now from Victoria.
And strong winds on the Skye Keswick and Dornoch Bridge. In Glasgow, Nits Hill Road has slow traffic both ways around Barhead Road, and in Dumfries and Galloway, the A76 at Mennock has slow traffic both ways. And if your journey home involves public transport, bear in mind it's just for essential journeys and reduced services are running. That's your travel. It's 4:30. Now the news headlines. Alex Salmond has been cleared of allegations he sexually assaulted 9 women when he was First Minister of Scotland. A jury at the High Court in Edinburgh returned their verdict this afternoon following an 11-day trial. Stephen Godden reports.
Alex Salmond faced 13 charges dating from his time in office. He said the allegations were a mixture of lies and fabrications. The prosecution claimed he'd abused his power to satisfy his sexual desires. This afternoon he was cleared of all charges, a jury finding him not guilty of 12 sexual assaults, including an attempted rape. A charge of assault with intent to rape was found not proven. Outside court, Alex Salmond thanked his supporters and said his great faith in the Scottish court system had been reinforced.
The number of deaths from coronavirus in England has risen by 46 to 303. 4 more people have died from coronavirus in Scotland, taking the total number of deaths to 14. There are 499 positive cases. Emergency legislation to give more powers to enforce measures to tackle coronavirus will be debated by MPs later. Under the new laws, police would be able to force people to self-isolate if they had symptoms. Over the weekend, photos emerged showing crowds of people visiting open spaces across many parts of the UK. Our political correspondent, Chris Mason, says the UK will be looking closely at restrictions being used across much of Europe, where the virus took hold earlier.
We only have to look over the channel to see the precedent of countries that are predicted to be a little bit further up the curve of cases, and we've seen, haven't we, the UK following, a little behind given where our curve currently is. And so let's be honest, it would not be surprising if there's a further ratcheting up of measures pretty soon.
Scottish Mountain Rescue has appealed to people not to visit Scotland's hills and mountains during the coronavirus outbreak. Skye, Braemar and Lomond were among volunteer teams on call-outs over the weekend. Glencoe MRT said it will only respond immediately to serious incidents. Lochaber MRT has warned that normal service can't be guaranteed and said the best thing people can do is stay home. Italy, the worst-hit European country, reported a surge in deaths over the weekend. The government said 651 people died yesterday, bringing the total there to almost 5,500. Professor Giacomo Grasselli from the University of Milan is warning people in the UK to stay indoors.
It's like a collective suicide. If you look at the forecast of the epidemiologists, and you know that if we leave this go, if we let this go like freely, we can expect more deaths than during the Second World War in Italy, for example. The only way to cope with this is to change our behavior.
The first UK patients have been enrolled in a clinical trial for possible treatments for COVID-19. It's being carried out by researchers from the University of Oxford and will test known drugs, including ones used for HIV, to see if they're effective for patients admitted to hospital. NHS Tayside has been fined £120,000 after admitting criminal responsibility for the deaths of 3 patients. Prosecutors said it was directly to blame for failures which led to the patients taking their lives at the Murray Royal Hospital in Perth between 2012 and 2015. A former police inspector found guilty of murdering his wife in Aberdeen has been jailed for at least 15 years. 60-year-old retired traffic officer Keith Farquharson had claimed his 56-year-old wife Alice died by accident following a struggle in bed in August last year. BBC Radio Scotland News.
BBC Radio Scotland, keeping you informed.
Give us a sense of just how tough a decision this was.
How do you get past that isolation that you have on a day-to-day basis?
What are the implications then of the oil price fall?
The very latest advice and information.
How concerned are you about the situation?
What's it like living in this lockdown?
Everyone's wondering about the effect of this outbreak on their jobs and on their rights.
Across the day on BBC Radio Scotland.
We're just 6 drive time with John Beattie on BBC Radio Scotland. Let me just give you some of the lines that are on the news just now. As we wait for the weather, the government prepared to take more action to stop the virus spreading, says the Health Secretary Matt Hancock. The people are selfish for ignoring coronavirus advice. So maybe if you've seen people ignoring the advice and gathering together, do let me know. 80295 is the text. The big story we'll talk about later on. Alex Salmon cleared of all sexual assault charges. Scotland's First Minister found not guilty on 12 charges. Another allegation is found not proven. Obviously down south, these packed tube trains are making distancing almost impossible. We are being told